Hi guys. I'm going to be putting up a video here, and if you're squeamish or anything like that, you may not want to watch it. I have a prosthetic eye because when I was 2, I had retinoblastoma, which is cancer of the eye, and so I have to have a prosthetic eye made usually about every 5 years. And so this is a video of me getting a eye made. And I thought you guys might find it interesting. But there are a couple shots where you will see me without my prosthetic eye in. So if that makes you squeamish or anything like that, you may want to avoid this video. Bye. Okay, so I wasn't recording that, but this is my prosthetic eye, and I've had this for seven years, I believe, so it needs to be replaced because the acrylic wears off, and it's really uncomfortable to wear. And I had a new one made, but the new one was the wrong color. It didn't fit properly. Like when I looked up, it felt like it was gonna pop out. And then so he's gonna completely restart the making of the eye. Like here's the one here, I'll show you the one I had made, and it's just all wrong. This is it. And it's the wrong color, and it doesn't fit right, and the molding on the back doesn't fit the molding that I have back here behind my socket. And of course that red dot is just so I know that's the top of the and I dropped it, but that's okay, they don't break, they're acrylic. So we will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Oh, we're gonna get to see him paint everything on there, I believe, and we'll record as much as we can for you guys. I have a YouTube channel. They may find this interesting.
Yeah, you know, it's people are so intrigued by this process of prosthetic eyes because, you know, it's such a unique thing. Moved it out just a hair. That would be better. So this stem is just setting up where your pupil is going to be in the new design.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe that was how you hold on to it.
Well, it's helpful, yes, to take it in and out. But it's just setting the pupil and setting the primary gaze for the new prosthesis. Because like we discussed, we'll keep this shape pretty much the same, but I wanted to improve the iris position so we can have a better size.
Did you check on insurance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa. And sometimes you test bounce them.
Yeah, I do that quite often.
And then this is just dental wax that we use. It's just a very pliable wax that you don't have to apply a lot of heat to manipulate and smooth out.
Well, shoot, I should have brought my dentures too. They don't fit right either.
And it's a way that we can temporarily make these changes, and then, like we discussed, I'll invest it into a stone mold, and then in that stone mold, it'll have all these wax changes that then we can cure the new piece, and it'll be translated to all plastic.
Is it plastic or acrylic?
Acrylic, yeah,
Okay.
which is a type of hard plastic.
Oh,
it's
okay.
PMMA plastic, polymethylmethacrylate acrylic, which is a huge tongue twister that just means medical grade plastic.
I don't know what they used to make them out of when I was little, but
They've used a lot of goofy things over the years.
yeah, I think they were glass.
Yeah.
I always called them glass eyes growing up.
Yeah, and you know, glass kind of phased out, I would say probably by the 70s or so. It kind of phased out drastically in the 50s, because 1957 is when the American Society of Ocularis was founded, which is our organization that's all about the training of ocularis and only custom techniques. And that kind of, they found, you know, glass is dangerous and less durable, and that, so they looked for alternatives, and that's where the acrylics and the silicones and things like that came from.
You've been lying to me all my life, Mom.
Well, when I was little, they were called glass. And
Yeah,
so
it could have been for
just,
sure.
That just stuck with me.
Yep.
You know, a little 7-year-old be like, Mama has a glass eye every day in school.
I'd say most people. I mean, you know, we still get new patients in all the time that, well, it's made of glass, right? No, it's not made of glass.
Acrylic. Sounds like glass when you drop it.
Right. It looks like glass when it's nice and polished, but
Yeah, that one, even though I think they polished it last time I was here, but and it felt really good for a while, but started bothering me again.
yeah.
And my eye doctor said it's because it's so.
All right, I'm gonna try this in here so I can see the shape of everything.
Hey, Michelle, you want to come record this?
Oh, jeez. There goes my iPad.
You may have to go over on the other side.
Yeah, you can come around here if you want.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and you know, I think that it was all just a product of that new one being too conical, because that probably opened you up to dryness, which caused some soreness, which probably caused the tackiness, and actually by having it too peaky, it probably aided in that droopy lid because it was dry, and so you'd blink over it and then it wouldn't want to come back up like it properly should. I actually really like I know it feels weird, I just gotta make a judgment call here. Because that space, there is pretty darn close. And let's start by doing that. But you feel, I don't want to mess with that. That just feels so right to me.
It does.
That,
It feels good.
yeah.
Like where and it really kind of suctions back in there. When that one just sits there.
Mm-hmm. And the second you look up, it even displaces you a little bit. Now we're just moving that over. I just didn't really like the position I had, and this is the most important part here.
Let's see how cracked my iPad is.
I hope it didn't break.
I think that one cracked when I dropped it off the bathroom counter.
You get a case for that thing, or is it in a case?
It's not. This thing is expensive.
Yeah, you need to get a case for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was too expensive for me to buy a case at the same time. And then I kept forgetting.
Yeah, those, I mean, you'd probably have to get, what, like an OtterBox or something for it, and those are pretty expensive too.
Sometimes you can find them on Facebook Marketplace.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I do fish tanks and stuff, and it's amazing how much stuff I get
okay.
off Fish.
I also do fish tanks.
Do you now?
Now I'm really excited.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Well, do you have?
I'm all freshwater right now. I think I have probably 5 tanks running at this point in time.
She had 10 before she moved here.
12.
There you
12?
go. There you go. I have a not in use 130 gallons sitting in my garage. I just don't have room in my house. So I got to move to a bigger house. And then I have 3 cube tanks set up, and only the middle one has anything in it, just like glass cubes. Probably like 19 gallons, I think they are.
Oh, that's a nice size for a cube tank.
And then I got a 55 that I built into a wall myself.
Wow.
Like I have a bar set up in a 55 gallon, and then my gem is my 75.
What do you have in the 75?
8 angelfish, 6 albino cories, 6 albino cherry barbs, 4 Siamese algae eaters, and a red-tailed shark. That's getting big.
Ah, that's nice. That's not too bad on stocking either. That's pretty light.
Yeah. No, I don't overdo stuff. And it's all planted in driftwood.
My I forget what the term to use. My favorite one, because I lived in Texas until like a month ago, and I had to sell everything.
Oh, no.
Except for my betta fish, which I shipped to myself, and I have them all in 5-gallon buckets right now.
Uh-huh.
But I had a 110 bow front.
Okay.
With a sump on it. It used to be a saltwater tank.
Yeah.
And I had, it was like four zebra angels, and then 4 or 5 blue marbles.
Uh-huh.
And then...
I would have loved blue marbles.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
But the reef, do you ever go to the reef?
I haven't.
Okay. I literally live like 2 blocks from the reef, so it's a hobbyist dream. It's not good for my bank account, though.
Oh, I bet. I used to work at a pet store.
Yeah.
Out in Texas.
Uh-huh.
So it was a lot of impulse buying, like, oh, this little platy right here is kind of cute.
Uh-huh.
I gotta get around to my school.
And then I have a koi pond that I built in my backyard.
Oh, nice.
With a waterfall and everything. Yeah, I have a beta in my middle cube. It's got a beta and 6 indlers.
Okay.
Little fun for the beta when they, have spawn that he
yeah,
can.
snack time.
Yep. And then there's a calico pleco, I think.
Oh yeah, calico.
I mean, just a teeny guy. I mean, he's probably super teeny.
She bought one fish and then it had like 50 babies.
Oh, okay.
I had
Yeah.
some tuxedo koi, like purebreds.
Uh-huh.
Now I brought with me some Japanese blue star endlers.
I don't know if I've seen those. Those sound cool.
They're like, they have yellow casts on their bodies and blue fins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then my 55 is my other red-tailed shark, because I put 2 in my 75 and then one got bigger and started chasing the other one around. So that was quite a trip I had to wait, and it took me like a week of trying, because I didn't want to take all the stuff out just to get this fish. So I just waited, and I actually left the net in there, and then finally I saw him like up against the wall and just grabbed the net and swooped him and just instantly, because it's all the same water, instantly put him in my 55. So there's a ornate goldfish that's probably about 9 years old. I mean, he's starting to get there. But then it's him. There's like 15 neon tetra in there.
Oh, I love neon tetra.
Yeah, and I got like a fake root looking thing, and so they just hang out there at this end, just cool. Then the new red tail, which he just kind of swims around, does him. But then my dude, the only fish I've named, Jafar, and he is my common pleco that is probably like 8 or 9 years old, and so he's like this long now, and I made him a cave because it's just a 55 long, so it's just like that standard, it's skinny, but it's tall and long. And so this end is where the root is for the tetras, and the goldfish kind of does what he wants. But then I actually built a cave, and that part tucks under the stairs, so it's like dark over there. So Jafar just lives in this cave and comes out to eat. But it's funny because he'll come out and just wreck the tank and then go back into his cave.
Create some havoc.
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh, Jafar came out today, because I'll see like a little decoration knocked over. And
loved fish.
Uh-huh.
But when I moved in with him, he loved fish, but he had like
See if I can
6
catch this.
tanks with all like the fake decorations in it.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up not necessarily talking him into, but like having my own planted tanks, let him planted tanks.
Uh-huh.
One of the first fish he rehomed was his common pleco. It was like 10 inches long. Because that fish would wreck his plants.
Yeah.
They love to dig.
I bet. My fake, I got my 75, I got my 55, but I have a bow front, it's 30 something, maybe even like a 32 or something. But it was actually my first tank where the pleco was, and I just had goldfish in it. And then as I got into the hobby, I branched out and went bigger and bigger. But it's kind of my OG tank. But right now, it's my favorite tank. I have a big, like, mountain thing that I got from Petco, and it's not a plant; it's all fake. And then some fake plants and some palms, but it's got 2 coolie loaches in it, which obviously you don't really see them.
Yeah.
But then it has 6 rummy nose tetras, 8 ember tetras, and 2 pairs of apistos.
Ooh, nice.
Love them.
Oh, I love the episode.
Yeah.
Did you tell him what you're gonna get?
Oh, I have not told him. I'm going to get an octopus. That's my next like dream project. Is I'm getting.
Well, you know what you're doing then. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I'm going to buy like clips to like clip like hardcore down the lid.
Well, just like your water chemistry to it. I watched this video and it was like, unless you know exactly every little thing that you're doing, they said jellyfish and octopus, don't mess with them. And I watched this guy. You've probably seen him. He's a guy on YouTube. He literally just like keeps octopuses. Like he's got this wall. Have you heard of it? And he has probably like, I don't even know, like 20 little. They're really little octopuses.
Oh, okay,
but he just like keeps them, and
like
he's
one of the pygmy octopuses.
right. But it's just amazing. So that is beyond me. Saltwater in general kind of scares me, but
I had a reef tank for a little while. I got tired of, because the REI unit I had was really slow.
Yeah.
And it would take up the entire kitchen, but mine also leaked.
Yeah.
It was just a bad situation.
Yeah.
It took me like 3 days to do one water change.
Right.
So that's why I got the 110 reef tank.
Nice.
Turned it into fresh water.
Fantastic. I just feel like freshwater is so much more forgiving. Like you still got to be on your stuff and get it going, but oh man, I would love saltwater, and I grew up with saltwater. My dad, and he was kind of bougie. He had a fish guy, like somebody who worked at a fish place out by our house, would come in like every 2 weeks and clean it and do that kind of a thing. But I just remember that tank, and I absolutely loved it. It was a reef tank that was pretty darn cool. So let me go get this mold started for you, and then I'll give you time to come back so we can kind of stay on track here, all right?
Okay.
All right, I'll be back in just a few. Let me see you here.
Let me take my glasses off.
Yeah, perfect. Just like a good matte background, and I would build everything out from there. That's too dark, that's out. That's way too light. Man, but that color at. Tone it down. Too much striations though. I wonder if I started with blue first. Pupil. And we could do like blue gray in the outside. Okay. I got you. We're going to start there, and it's just because it's a nice matte color. And so we'll be doing a lot of painting when you come back to have the details to it, because I just don't have anything I like where I'd be working against myself, with the lightness of the colors we have versus just kind of having a nice...
Do I have an unusual colored eye or something?
Yeah, I think you do. I think it's kind of a hazily eye that is, it's hard to explain. It's like a hazel with unique colors. So like your prosthesis you wear now is hazel. You know, it's kind of that green that looks dark, but when you get up on top of it, there's kind of that aqua and striations in it. But from here, it just kind of looks like a darker iris. But your healthy eye is like a hazel that's like a blue-gray, and then it's got like a sienna and ochre mixture, which is like a brown with a tinge of clay in it, like a clay brown, but darker than that, and then kind of gold flecks around it. So it'll be fun. But you don't see that when you're just looking at at conversational distance. But it's a matter of building that out and finding that blend that does look good. So we'll start there. It's kind of like just a good blank canvas to build off of. So you guys are on break. You can hold on to that one, or I'll just hold on to your container. I'll put it in your box and I'll give it back to you when we're all done.
Okay.
But you guys are on break. So let's plan for 2 hours. 12:15. I'm going to get it in white, and then I got to make a painting show, and then hopefully I'll be finished up with my 10:30 about that time that we can jump into this.
Okay.
Okay.
So you going to call me, or you just want us to come back and
just
show?
come back about 12:15, and you don't have to call.
Okay.
You can just come in, and Julia will let me know you're here, and I'll get you back as soon as we're ready.
All right. Thank you.
That's my pleasure. You guys take your time, but you're on break.
Try and find a used, but I either need like a crew of people to help deliver it, or I need to buy acrylic.
Right.
And then even then with glass, it's going to be a pain when we eventually move again.
All right, let's slide this in here. I got to take a peek at it. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got to try and keep it moving here. It's a little uncomfortable. It's just temporary. Does that feel a little bit better though? Kind of more similar to that, hopefully.
Yeah, it feels similar to that.
The shape looks a lot better.
It just in the corner.
Yeah, don't worry about
okay.
that. It's just, and actually when I was working on it, sometimes when you do these things in one day, I chipped a little bit off, so I had to glue it back together and dry it really well. But it's just so I can have that, be able to try it in while we're painting it. But I'll show it to you here. And again, I got to paint it.
It just feels like
but just like the position
stuck on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the position and the opening and all that looks so much better right there. I wouldn't have been able to achieve that with the other one. The background color is exactly what I want. Perfect. So I need to open it up, make your pupil a lot bigger because you got a nice big pupil even with my light shining on you. So your pupil's probably pretty big most of the time if it's that big with this light on it. Okay, good. Go ahead and look around for me. Perfect. And up. Better? Yeah, I don't see that gap.
Better.
Yeah, good. Okay, let me go open this color up. Make our pupil nice and big, and I'll actually take your old one with me just for sizing purposes. And then I'll try it in one more time, and then I'll pretty much get it painted before I try it in, okay?
Alrighty.
So give me just a few minutes to get. How's the weather out there? How's the temperature?
It's a little chilly for me, but I don't tolerate cold at all.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's about the same temperature outside as it is in here.
Okay. High 60s. I think it's at 69 in here.
Pretty comfortable for me.
Yeah. That's my doing, so I apologize because I run on hot. And I'll be dying if we, I'm acutely aware, if it goes up like 2 degrees, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so hot in here.
You're the one who's got to stay in here all day.
Right. Good. I really like that position and that size. I think look beautiful. Obviously still got to color it.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot
that
better.
pupil's a lot better.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot better than that pinhole pupil.
Yep. And then, you know what? Painting in his room is tricky. I hate it because they have that side light, and that thing plays tricks on you, or the side window, the big one. So if it's a sunny day and that's open, it would just hit that side of your face and make that pupil so small.
Yeah.
That looks really good.
I was there when you had the last one, Dave. Wasn't I, Mom? I was there for.
You want to come around here and see this one real quick, just so I can have your opinion on it too? I'm sure you see it a lot, just in terms of size. I got to add all the color to it still and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the shape of the opening looks a lot better as well.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of freaky seeing it with just the white wall.
Well, that's how I'm going to fix it.
I hope so.
That background color is pretty
They've been a
good
little
too.
wacky looking.
It's funny, I picked that background color out, and just like any other artist, I changed my mind at the last second and picked a different one, and I'm very happy I did. I think this one is on the money. Good.
Oh, it had a plastic thing over it. Is that why it felt so weird?
Yeah, so this is what I call a painting shell, and that's why you had the long break at the first one, because I got to make the white piece that has the background color we picked out in it, and then I take it down and pack it again with a little cellophane sheet in between it and a clear plastic on top of it, and it, in our press, it adheres so it fits perfectly on there, and that simulates the final layer of clear that's cured onto this one.
Oh.
So that's why you're going to have a break here after I paint it, because I'm going to throw this away and cook the permanent one directly onto it, so it's that permanent piece.
Okay.
And that's what we call a painting shell, and it's an extra step we do just so while I paint it, I can try it in and we can get a preview of what it's actually going to look like.
Gotcha.
A lot of people just hold them up and do that. No, anytime that I have the opportunity to, I would like to have a painting shell. And by that I mean, if it's a super thin shape, there's just not enough material there to create one and stuff like that.
I know when I was little, like 4 and 5, it used to take 3 or 4 days driving from Colorado Springs to Denver to get my eye made. And they used to pour this liquid in there and make the shape. And
they use like the syringe, like put the thing with the little tube sticking off of it and put the syringe in there, and then they had that. Is that how they did it from what you remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
that's the kind of old school way.
I don't remember them having the iris. I think he painted the entire iris on there.
Yeah. And so that to us, it goes to thickness as well. Like if I have a really thin piece, I'll what we call surface paint it. So I would start and we would have markings all on this, and I would actually paint this just a black background where I have this color background for us to start with that we make here. I would just hand paint a black circle there, and then we would build all the colors off of that.
Yeah.
But anytime I can have an iris button, I really prefer it.
Do you guys still use red thread for the veins?
Yep,
yeah.
right there. We'll be doing that.
I think I saw how it's made when I was like a little kid.
Yeah, so like most ocularists, especially in North America, we're all kind of trained under the same umbrella. And it's an apprenticeship to learn how to do it. There's scholastic stuff that goes into it, but to learn how to make prosthetic eyes, it's an apprenticeship. So you're kind of, who you learn from, that's kind of what you adopt and do. But yeah, exactly. But the overarching umbrella of ocularists, we're all kind of trained, same materials, same. It's just your little nuances and techniques kind of change.
Yeah.
Colorado Springs, so that's home for you then. That's where you're from?
That's where I grew up.
That is awesome. I'm sure JR told you. I played travel hockey my whole life growing up, and my favorite tournament ever was it was on President's Day weekend, the long weekend, and it was the President's Day Pikes Peak Invitational. That was the most fun tournament. We played in it 3 years in a row. So tell me about the octopus idea. Is it something that's in the foreseeable future, or just kind of a dream at this point?
I'm hoping within the year.
Okay.
But it's a lot of saving because
For sure.
I don't make a whole lot of money.
For sure, and it's expensive for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you got to have quite the setup for them to keep everything balanced.
I think I want to say the minimum tank size is 90 gallons.
Okay.
So a decent sized tank.
What do you have, like the species of?
I want a Bimac. I can't pronounce the whole name, but the nickname for it's Bimac.
Okay.
It's also called the two-spot octopus.
Okay.
So I want to say they get about, 20 inches leg to leg. It's a decent size. I didn't want to go with the small one.
Right. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it, right?
Yeah, I looked into the Jobini and the the small ones.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all nocturnal.
And what's the point of that?
Yeah, you'll never see them. They're like, yeah, so what you have to do is put a red light on your tank, because they can't see red light apparently. So they'll think it's pitch black. And then you can kind of, sometimes if you glance across the room at 2 in the morning, you'll see it. And that's it.
Okay. Like
And
you kind of
so-
have like that dim red hue in the
Yeah.
tank. Okay.
So at first I was looking at, because the pygmy ones really only need like 10 gallons.
Right, and that's what this guy had. It was just like little boxes, and he had all these, and they all ran on the same system. It was pretty cool.
I had even found like a 10-gallon fish bowl, like you get like a big size fish bowl.
Uh-huh.
How they cool little bowl things. I like the shape of the bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like the size, but you know, with most of them. But when I found out that I'll never see it, and it'll live 6 months and then die.
Oh, that'd be heartbreaking.
Most octopus don't live very long. I think the longest lived one is the giant Pacific,
Uh-huh.
the one most people think of.
Right.
And they
Like
live,
the actual octopus that you see.
big guy.
Right.
They live like 3 or 4 years.
Interesting. You
Yeah.
would think that kind of... Man, that's crazy. To me, that, it just in my mind, that would be like a sea turtle. You think they would live like 90 years,
It was.
because they're so intelligent and all these things.
But yeah, even if, because a lot of people at first they thought the reason why they had such short lifespans was because both the male and the female die before the eggs hatch.
Interesting.
Like the females will lock themselves in the cave and just take care of the babies for the rest of their life, and then they'll starve to death, which is really sad. But
That's a devout parent right there.
oh yeah. But even like they found out captive bred octopus that never breed still will die. At about so the giant Pacific's about 4 or 5, 3 or 4 around that, like 3 to 5 run. But the one I'm getting, the IMAC, lives about a year to a year and a half.
Wow. How quickly do they get full grown?
Oh gosh, that I'm not actually sure. I want to say it takes about 4 or 5 months.
Interesting.
It's crazy because they're so smart. You don't think of such smart animals living such short lives.
Right.
But they're probably like genetically they die all of a sudden. After
Yeah.
that amount of time. Even if there's no reason for them to, they just go.
That's insane.
Oh yeah, they're really smart. They actually will like pull their arms off if they get bored. Just
They're really smart. They actually pull their arms off if they get bored.
they get so bored, there's nothing for them to do.
Won't be an octopus after long.
Right.
They grow back, thankfully. They can regrow their arms like it's nothing.
So would you feed them live or like frozen? Mixture of both?
Yeah,
Probably.
especially when they're young, they need to have live, like they eat a lot of fiddler crabs, shrimp. But once they get older, they tend to be able to eat more frozen, which is just easier to get a hold of and even cheaper.
Right, yeah, cheaper for sure.
Fiddler crabs are like $3 or $4 at a pet store.
Whew. Maybe for like its birthday or something.
Yeah.
Christmas. That's so cool. One thing I'm enthralled with, and I think a lot of people probably are, is the mantis shrimp.
Oh yeah, those
That
guys are crazy.
would be unbelievable. They have one at the reef right now. And I don't think they're planning on selling it. It's just like, at those kind of places, they just kind of have some that are just their pets that just live there.
Like a display animal.
Right. And it's so cool.
They're one of the ones you need to have in an acrylic tank, otherwise smash it.
Right. And it's something ridiculous too with them that you got to have. They only get 8 inches or whatever, but you got to have like 100 gallons. Or I don't think it's that, but something.
Yeah, like,
You're just like, okay, and just them in there. Yeah, okay.
They're really pretty though.
Yeah, they are.
They look crazy. Mom has no idea what we're talking about.
When I was growing up, I told you we had that saltwater tank.
Yep.
And we had some big old like angelfish in there, but then we also had a Nigerian triggerfish.
Ooh, okay.
Now that was cool.
want to get, someday I'll have like a porcupine puffer.
Okay. There you go. I'm really into freshwater puffers. Like, I've thought about getting, like, for one of my cubes, getting some pygmies.
Mm-hmm. Pea puffers.
Mm-hmm.
I had like a moment. I worked because I told you I used to work at the pet store,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a customer come with a 5-gallon tank, and she told me all of her bettas she put in there kept dying, and we couldn't figure out why. And so we did like a restart, recycled the tank and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her you could put a pea puffer in there. You could have one little pea puffer, a colony of snails that'll be demolished. And she gets the pea puffer, and the pea puffer does great. Like, her tank is heavily planted, it's really nice, like it's cycled, everything's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
She comes in literally 3 times a week for me to test her water just to make sure everything's doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't trust herself to read the test results.
Yeah.
And so she posted to a pea puffer group, and she got ripped apart saying that they needed to be in groups, which isn't something I had heard before.
Uh-huh. I
had always been told they were aggressive. You should have 1 per 5 gallons.
Yeah.
I was apparently wrong, and she got yelled at.
So to me, like, the big thing with that, one, as you know, any hobby, but, you know, fish tanks, like, you have those people that are on their high horse. But I have found that, like, you take advice from other people, but you got to test things for yourself, as you know. Like, you just find what works. Like, you know, I was looking, when I was doing research for my pistos, people were like, all these little odds and ends, and, you know, you can't have a busy tank with them because the males especially will be active. My tank is a huge community and schooling tank.
Yeah.
Like, my tetras swim around that center display, and it's perfect. It's all those little things.
Some people are just a fish police.
Right.
Like, they take some little fact that they learned 3 years ago and run with it.
Yeah, the best is, you know, the arguments over filtration and stuff that people get into. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't use this. It's like, well, and as long as you develop healthy, beneficial bacteria and good cycle, and
keep your tank clean.
Yeah, no nitrites, you're gonna be okay. Doesn't matter how you get there.
Oh yeah. I see a lot of the betta fish people.
Yeah.
I have 8 of them, like, right now at home in buckets.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I see people saying, oh yeah, the minimum for them is 2.5 gallons. But then I see people posting their 3-gallon tank, and I swear the same people are chewing them out for not having a 5-gallon.
Right.
I saw someone post a 5-gallon, and I saw people complain that they didn't have a 10-gallon.
Yeah.
I see people posting.
You used to be the beta police, though.
Well, I sent like in bowls.
Right, yeah. It's like goldfish in bowls, too.
She's like, you need at least a 10-gallon tank to have a beta. And I'm like, no, I don't.
For reference, the betta was in a bowl. And also for reference, I was 10.
We'd go to the Walmart, and she'd want to take home every single beta there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at Walmart. They were sad at Walmart.
I don't even go over to the fish area when I go to, like, a place that isn't a pet store. And I don't even really go to pet stores anymore. I go to Petco by my house because the one on Keystone where I live, I mean, my goodness, they have a good aquatic section. I can find stuff there that I can't find at the Reef, and the Reef is literally like a renowned aquatic spot, like store.
After working at a pet store, because at the pet store I work at, I was the fish person.
Uh-huh.
Like, I had customers asking for me specifically, and I was the one in charge of the fish order, and I was the one in charge of releasing the fish and doing all the fish maintenance. Like, literally, I went to work and took care of the fish tanks.
Right.
It was like my unofficial, like, job. But there was a lot of fish that you can order. Like, you can get some really obscure, like, you can get betta embellis, and you can get like the rare plecos, like the L numbers, and all like the random like Aldolphi cories and stuff like that. It's just that a lot of pet stores don't buy them because they don't think they can sell them.
Yeah.
But like in the time when I started ordering, like at first I just ordered them for myself. Like, oh, this is a cool fish, I want that, I'll buy it. But then someone would come by before the end of my shift and buy it for themselves. we got more and more popular with the fish people because we had those unique and interesting fish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a lot of people, a lot of pet stores don't buy a whole lot because they think everyone just wants the neon peppers and the guppies.
Right.
Um,
And the goldfish.
Yep. Even though their tank's too small.
Right.
I did have a lady come in one time. She had just set up her 2-gallon glowfish tank and bought 10 glowfish, and no one stopped her because it was a new employee that working that day. And I tested her water.
Probably uncycled too. Just set it up and bought fish in the same day.
I was testing her water, and she's like, "So what you testing for?" And I was like, "Well, I'm testing for ammonia. It's the most common thing that kills fish in an uncycled tank." Which is really common. Beginners are trying to sugarcoat it that it wasn't her fault. It's really common, it happens.
So did her fish die? Is that why she came in?
Yeah, all of them died.
Yeah.
Within 12 hours.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, I cycled it for 48 hours, and that's twice as long as the PetSmart employee told me to."
Oh gosh.
And I was like, "Oh no, man, that's not enough time to set up your beneficial bacteria." She's like, "So should I, just clean everything out and just start over?" Which is, I hate when people say that because that never helps unless you have some weird disease going on in your tank.
Right.
Wiping out all your bacteria is not going to do anything, even if you don't have any yet. But she then tells me that she doesn't want the glowfish anymore. She tells me she wants goldfish.
Okay.
And I tell her no. She tries to say, "Okay, well, I tell her like what she could put in there, which is almost nothing.
How big was it, did you
It
say?
was like a 2-gallon. 3-gallon.
Okay, yeah.
Small. And so she says, "Oh, I'll just get a refund." And I told her, like, "We give you store credit, we can't give you a refund for fish." She's the store policy, if you can't resell something, we can't give a refund. You can only give credit. And she goes up there and then throws a tantrum for like 20 minutes with my boss because my boss wouldn't give her cash. But just it was like the worst. I also had the lady who wanted to put a peacock cichlid and an emblema. I want to say that's the right way to say that, the name of that cichlid. She wanted to put them in a 3.5, 4 gallon. And I literally spent an entire hour with her, talking her down from. So she goes up and she wants the peacocks and the emblema, and I explained to her, those fish are too big for your tank. She's like, "Well, those are the only ones I like."
Okay.
So, well, I can't sell them to you, ma'am. And then she says, "Well, what about the angelfish?" And I said, "Well, the angelfish also get too big. Like, but I'll get a small one." They're also pretty aggressive, so you can't really.
It would be one angelfish in that, and that's about it.
It's like, so aggressive towards each other or towards other fish? They're like, a little to other fish that are smaller than them, but also towards each other they tend to bicker, especially when you don't have enough. And she's like, "Well, you have 5 in that tank right there." I eventually tell her, like, you could put a couple pairs or a pair of crebensis, and if you got a 20 long. And she says, "Okay," and she's like, "So, how many can I put in there?" I was like, at this point was very tired. I was like, 3 or 4 maybe. You might have some problems with aggression, but you could potentially do 3 or 4. And she's like, "So that means I can have 2 in a 10-gallon. I was like, "I suppose." And so she goes over, and I'm thinking, she's going to get 2 crebensis cichlids, dwarf cichlids, so nothing that's going to get giant. And that's it for her 10-gallon, which she didn't even have set up yet.
Right.
But I had, this woman was not listening to me.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta you want to protect the animal, but you gotta let people learn for themselves too when it comes to that.
I already told her it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
The same day. But she seemed to think it was fine. So I get up on the ladder, the crebensis are on the top row tank I can't reach. And she's like, and I asked her which 2 she wanted, and she's like, "I'll take that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Actually, I'll take everything in the tank except for that one crebensis up there." There was like 10 crebensis, iridescent sharks, and some leopard bushfish in there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, ma'am. And then she also wanted a pleco, but she kept calling it an allergy eater.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a sucker fish. That's what a lot of people call them. It's probably because they can't say plecostomus. It's like, you can call it a pleco.
Yeah, pleco's easy to say. Well, some people still call them plecos or placos. But
I called it an algae eater for a long time till I learned that it was a plecostomus.
And see, I've kept fish for a long time, but I was very excited to get my 75 going, and so I actually did a partial fish-in cycle on mine. But I didn't lose a single fish. I would never recommend doing it to someone, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But it was a kind of like one of those notch in my belt as a fish keeper. I was like, I'm going to get this done. You know, I had the tank set up. It was cycled, but it wasn't cycled like it should have been.
Yeah.
And I just wanted them, and I was at the store, and it's, as a fish person, like, if you're setting up a tank and you're getting ready for fish, you should not go to that store until you're ready for fish, because you're going to see something and you'll be like, I want it. Absolutely. And they had these beautiful, what do they have? I have pandas. Mm-hmm. What are marbles one? Is that a classification of angelfish? Yes, marble one? I have some black marbles. I just got they had some really, really pretty ones that had unique colors. So I just got them, and I just started dosing and didn't lose a single one.
My boss at the pet store didn't believe in cycling a tank. Like, she was the one who was telling people that we had to wait 24 hours before they had fish, and that's it. Her rule was, you have to wait 24 hours and then they can have 3 fish. And didn't matter what the fish they were.
I would be fine with that, but you would have to have them dosing it. Mm-hmm. And, like you said, the breed of fish, too, would be huge. But if you dosed for 24 hours, I don't know. Mm-hmm. You'd need a lot of ceramic in your filter as well. I think people don't understand that. They just buy those back-hanging filters and they're like, all right, that'll do good.
I know, and then they come in for the cartridges.
Yep. So how often are you changing these cartridges? Like every week? No.
Yeah. I would tell them don't change it.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Tank water, don't.
For sure.
That beneficial bacteria.
For sure.
And I swear, half the time they came with dead fish from an established tank, and they had pneumonia reading lists because they changed their filter.
Yep, never change. And people don't understand. They think they're going to clean their tank, so they go in there, they start changing water, they clean the filter. It's like, no, do one or the other.
I'd have customers come in, and I would ask them, so have you done anything major with your tank recently? Like change the filter culture? They don't think of that. Or empty it out or anything. And this guy, he told me that every single time he did a water change, he'd drain the entire tank and rinse it out with soap. And as a kid, when I didn't know better, that's what I would do with I think the biggest tank I had as a kid was a 4-gallon, and I would rinse it out. I didn't use soap, but I would rinse it and rinse the gravel.
Right.
Not knowing any better. But it was dumb because I had asked him as well already if he used any chemicals, and he said no. So soap didn't count.
Oh, okay.
As chemicals, I guess.
So let me ask you this. I'm dealing with it, but I want to see if you have an opinion of blackbeard algae on driftwood. Do you have a opinion on a remedy for it?
Oh gosh, I want to say, don't quote me, double check. I know for sure that ottos and nearite snails and a monoshrimp will eat blackbeard. I know one of the first recommendations is to dip the wood in bleach. Anything you can that has it on there, dip it in bleach. Yep,
or diluted hydrogen peroxide solution is what the guy at the reef, when I was chatting with him about it. And it's not dangerous, it's just it's starting to overgrow. Like, I actually liked how it looked on my dark driftwood initially, but it's just getting, how it spreads, so it's starting to get kind of crazy. So you're saying there's stuff that eats its snails, huh? Because I've never dealt with black, but I've also this is my first officially 100% very overplanted tank for the angelfish. So it's been kind of a learning curve for me because I've always just had decorations and maintained my fish and had pretty fish. Mm-hmm. So this was my first endeavor into that.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure neorites, a monoshrimp, and autocinculus.
Yeah, I got Siamese algae eaters. I don't know. I mean, I guess auto, they kind of look the same as why I don't want to get autos
Autos are
without.
just like a
I mean,
smaller version.
right. And mine have gotten pretty big. They're awesome. And it's fun when the red-tailed shark chases them all over the tank.
Those red tails can be little grumpy guys.
Oh, he's getting big too. I bet you he's 2.5 inches now.
My roommate had one that was 4 inches. That
They
can hold
get-
his own in a cichlid tank.
They get huge. I've seen some YouTubers that have just massive ones. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, so my boss didn't like believe in cycling,
Mm-hmm.
and she would like, she'd get mad at me if I talked to
Yes. Okay.
She'd get mad at me if I talked to the customers about cycling their tank and explain how to do a fish in cycle when their new fish just all died.
Right.
Okay. So we did a lot of fish in cycling at my store, which is a lot of prime.
Yep.
Goes prime every 24 hours to make sure your tank is absolutely safe.
Right.
Which is fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. That's not how I would want to set up a tank. I was just so excited, and I had to buy those fish.
I mean, it's more work and it's more risk.
Right. It's waking up every morning like, please, please, come on.
When I set up my 110, I ended up doing a fishing cycle, but the fishing cycle was with like 3 platies. The platies were really the fish that I kept impulse buying. Like, I was like, more platies.
Right.
Because we got a lot of variety of those.
Uh-huh.
We got some cute ones. But I added 2 platies to a 110-gallon tank. And I kind of, like, so I was using a garden hose for that water change.
Okay.
And I also had an electric siphon. So I stuck it in the tank and ran it, and it would drain water out. I did a water change every single day. Didn't really need to.
Like a 30% or
Like a 90%.
Oh wow, okay.
I really I just went overboard.
Yeah.
Like it didn't bother me, so I was like, I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to like stop myself because after like a month, I still had 0 across the board because I was doing too many.
Mm-hmm.
No one died though. Until we had I don't know if you heard about the Texas freeze. I got hit by that.
Yeah, where power went out and
yeah,
stuff.
We had rolling blackouts. So our power was going out for about an hour every 30 minutes or so. So we had like 30 minutes of power, an hour without, 30 minutes of power.
Yep.
So that meant my heater was
Yep.
out. I didn't have any tanks freeze, but I think I lost my favorite betta fish. She was like $40. And then I lost 4 of my angels. I was like,
She bought a betta fish online once, and they mailed it to her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was wintertime, and they stuck it in the mailbox, even though it said live fish. Do
Oh.
not.
My gosh.
And then they didn't give us the key to the mailbox,
Yeah,
so it got froze to death.
yeah. He
Wow.
was a red dragon rosetail.
Uh-huh.
He was very pretty. But it was like the middle of winter, it was like a little bit before Christmas. I had already had like a tank set up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The mailman put it in the mailbox, didn't give us, because it was like, those communal ones.
Mm-hmm.
When he didn't give us the key, he also, when we called the post office, he
Mhm.
didn't want to come back.
Yeah, we called the post office, and we're like, he stuck our live fish in the mailbox. No, they didn't do nothing about it. Well, they ended up giving her a refund, but
I got to bring in my ice cube. I had hoped that the heat packs had held through, but it was a snowstorm in Colorado. It wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
oh yeah, it was a huge snowstorm. It was like below 0 that night.
I was hopeful though. I was like 15 or 16 was my first time like importing a betta from Aquabit.
Uh-huh.
He was like $100 to get shipped.
Yeah.
Pay for him, shipped to Thailand from the transshipper to my house.
Yeah. Alright, let me go try this. Probably need a little bit more in the sclera, but let's try it so we can try it in and take a peek at it.
Okay.
And we'll see what we need